We'll talk a little bit about this Duke game. I know it's been a couple of days. I know that people probably want us to let the Duke game go, but I'm not going to do it. You want to do positives first? I think the biggest positive is that we didn't end up having to find out what happened with the sod. I wish somebody would have asked Mike Norvell about that, but Seminoles.com and the Seminoles YouTube page and the Twitter page and the Facebook page, they've stopped airing press conferences now after games. And so that is, I don't even know. I don't even know if somebody asked him that because for some reason, Florida State is no longer putting out a press conference after the game. But I do think it's a positive, a minor positive that we didn't have to find out what was going to happen with the sod. And again, maybe if Florida State would air their press conferences now, I don't know why they've gone into hiding mode. Everyone watched you on Friday night lose that game. But why they don't want Mike Norvell's press conference getting out, I don't know. But that's our reality. But so maybe a minor positive to start out with about the game on Friday night.
Yeah, I can think of a few. Obviously, the kick return for a touchdown. We haven't seen that in a while, and that was nice to see. I think since last year in the Syracuse game, so that was nice to see. It was perfectly developed, and enjoyed that. I thought the linebackers played fairly decent, honestly. I think you have something in Cryer right now. He did well, and despite the fumble, I was impressed with how hard Cam Davis ran the ball. He got the lion's share of the carries, and I think he deserved it. He actually made a few guys miss this week, which he hasn't really done up to this point, but he's still young. So I think those were the three main positives that I had in a laundry list of negatives.
Yeah, I did. I think the defense was pretty good, right? All jokes aside about the sod cemetery and everything else like that. The defense, hats off.
Yards.
Yeah. 3.1 yards of play. You held them to we talked about it. Richie, I told, not to play the I told you so game, but I told you Duke wasn't very good. I told you they weren't going to be able to move the ball. I told you that they were like dead last in the conference on third down percentage. They were like 28% coming into the game. Richie, you know what their third down percentage was for the game? 18.
3 of 17, yeah.
Yeah, they were 18% for the game. The defense stood up, and I will say, I believe one of those third downs, I'm not going to go through the whole thing right now. I believe one of those third downs was a third and 2, and one was a 3rd and 4. I'm okay with that. There were no 3rd and 17s converted. The other team is going to, especially with a mobile quarterback, when they have a numbers advantage because of that, they're going to convert some third downs. I got no problem with the way the defense played. I will say, and not to harp on the defense, it is so typical of an Adam Fuller defense to, as soon as something goes right in the game, you get a kick return for a touchdown, you get something going your way, they are inevitably going to give up a 50-yard play. Like, that's just how it works.
Yeah, that third quarter run by Starr, I think it was. Yeah,
it's really hard for me to complain about the defense. I just do find that ironic. That's not even me complaining. That's what we're going to do. All in all, though, great defensive effort. I thought the secondary played well. They kept trying Fintrell Cypress. I don't know why, but they did. I'll get right back to it, but first I want to give a little love to our friends over at Survival Meds. Some of my really good buddies introduced me to these products earlier in the year, and while I will tell you, they haven't made my days fully brighter with how bad Florida State's been playing, they have certainly helped. They have two products that I absolutely love. They're Force Multiplier and the Test Fire. Now, if you know that you need to be on a multivitamin or you just need a little bit of an extra boost, go check out both products linked in the description. Again, I've been taking them, and I promise you that you will not be disappointed. I see the analytics on this page. I know that most of you are older and my age or older than me even, and you probably need to be taking better care of yourselves. This is the first step. Make sure you're on a multivitamin, and if you need that little bit of an extra boost, go get the Test Fire as well. Go check out Survival Meds in the description right now. The young guys played well in the secondary. They weren't perfect by any means, and Malik Murphy's not a great quarterback, but you held their running game down, which they have a very good running back. All in all, defensively really good. Special teams, you made a great special teams play. You had a terrible special teams play. Actually, you made a couple because you had some good punts for Master Romano. You had some good field goals. Again, we have somehow in week 7 or 8 now it is, and we got the week head start. We somehow have forgotten to snap the ball. both Maurice Smith and Maurice Smith, has somehow forgotten to not false start as the center. I mean, you're the one with the ball in your hand, but we've forgotten how to snap the ball, even on field goals. And then, I really don't blame Mastromano there on the hold. I don't know if you have a take on that or not, but the snap was 7 feet over his head. I didn't really have a problem with him trying to get it down, but it cost yourself 3 points there, and then you made up for it maybe with the kick return and with the 53-yarder that Fitzgerald hit as well. But yeah, I mean, mostly positive on special teams. I mean, bad snaps are going to happen. They just, happen more often to bad teams, it feels like. But then offensively, I guess the running game was there, not a lot of positives offensively. The wide receivers continue to be terrible, and no offense to anybody out there. I'm sure they're nice kids. I don't, at the end of the day, I don't care. Give me felons if we're going to win games. It doesn't matter. But, yeah, you get a true freshman out there, throws an absolute dime to the back of the end zone, and a guy that's been in the offense for 76 years can't catch it. Why you're continuing to play guys that drop it. Maybe you just have nobody else. Maybe everybody is that bad, which probably speaks to the leadership in that room, which we've talked about ad nauseum. But, not a lot of positives from the offense. Toa Philly looked good. For some reason, Mike Norvell went away from him for, 50% or 50% of the game. He wasn't out there doing anything. And, I thought Cam ran fine too. Obviously the fumble sucks, but when you felt like you were driving and about to go tie the game up. I mean, offensively, Luke Luke threw the ball pretty well, had a pretty good PFF grade on his 7 passes or whatever he threw. Guys can't catch the ball, whether that's Hakeem or Kentron. And, Luke doesn't feel like he's all the way there yet with pocket presence. Brock kind of moves around there, sometimes needlessly, but Brock a little bit more stable. I thought the decision to go back to Brock was actually fine. You started moving the ball with him a little bit better. You needed to sit him a little bit to let him think. But then with Luke, you were struggling to move the ball. And I know some of that was on drops, but most of it was just he didn't look like he was quite ready. But I'm excited to see him continue to get out there and get reps because you got to figure out what's going on for the future. But yeah, I mean, some positives, but obviously way more negatives. So I've ranted a little bit. Let's hear some of your negatives. Not that I've maybe given you any left with taking them all up now.
Yeah, I'm a little more critical on the snap on that field goal attempt. I know it was a high snap, but he definitely bobbled the ball, and I thought, a good placeholder makes that happen. We see it in the NFL all the time. We see it in college plenty of times. That was frustrating. I did get a good laugh because the first field goal we kicked, the announcer was like, one of the best kickers in the country. And then the first punt Mastromano had, one of the best punters in the country. And I'm just thinking to myself, we don't have anyone else who's the best in their country at their position or one of the best. So your special teams, outside of that botch snap was fine. Ryan Fitzgerald, the turnaround he's made in his career has been phenomenal. Going from, bringing in a transfer to compete with him, for him taking that challenge, stepping up, and now being truly, if Florida State was better than 1-6, he's going to be on the Lou Groza final watch list. He's not going to win it because the team is just so bad. But yeah, I thought, they ran the ball decent. The offensive line was just putrid, man. And I get the quarterbacks didn't help them out a whole lot. I thought their pocket presence, wasn't great. To your point, Brock did a little better than Luke. For Luke, it being his first action, I can't be critical of him at all. I think that, after having 3 turnovers on 3 consecutive offensive plays, you kind of had to make that decision to go with Luke and just let Brock calm down a little bit because he clearly was reeling. And I don't know, I can't imagine what was going through his mind. The one pick six was it wasn't a bad throw. It was just a really bad decision based on, the alignment and understanding the windows, the passing windows that were there. When you're throwing to the, outside of the field and there's a safety right there, you just can't make that throw. The fumble's unfortunate. People fumble all the time. It is what it is. And I thought that third interception was a really bad one. Again, he threw it right to the linebacker. It's like he didn't even see him there. So just really frustrating. To Brock's credit, when he came back, he didn't seem rattled. He still was playing decent. He's a freshman, redshirt, albeit, but still a freshman. And again, just these receivers are. I've never seen a worse receiver core than what we have right now. I remember, I think it was my junior or senior year at Florida State, all of your starting receivers got in a huge fight in the student union and were suspended for the Boston College game. And we had walk-ons playing in that game at receiver, and they didn't look nearly as bad as this group has looked all year. And, we thought we were getting some really good transfers. Maybe there's a reason they were in the portal. Nick Saban said as much on game day a few weeks ago. And, they certainly don't help. And the quarterbacks, again, I don't think they help the offensive line much, but that's not to let the offensive line off the hook. They were terrible. 6 sacks and 11 tackles for loss. That against Duke. That should be unacceptable. And I don't know, I was rewatching the broadcast. Did you know that Friday night was the first time Duke has ever had a double-digit lead against Florida State in all the games we've played?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard for me to just not be the most sarcastic, condescending person of all time, because that truly is my nature, I guess. Maybe that's not a good thing, but yeah, like we're record setters, bro. Like, what do you want me to tell you? First team since '89, that is 1-6 after starting in the top 10. That was LSU, so maybe we are SEC quality when you think about that. But yeah, we're record setters. Never been an underdog. Never been down by multiple scores. And never lost to them. So the absolute trifecta of suck right now when it comes to Florida State against Duke.
And you think about those 3 turnovers on 3 consecutive offensive plays, that led to 17 Duke points. The
Richie,
pick six, a touchdown, and the field goal.
I told you they were terrible on third down. I told you that other teams were outgaining them. I told you that they weren't like killing time of possession. And guess what? Florida State held them to 3 of 17 on third down. Just like I told you, key to the game.
Yeah.
They outgained them by over 100 yards. They outgained them by over 100 yards, Richie, and had a 100-yard kick return. So they really, that doesn't get factored into the final stats, but really they outgained them by over 200 yards when you think about the kick return.
Yeah.
And so strike 2, you should beat Duke if you stop them on third down because they're terrible at it, and you outgain them by more than 200 yards with the kick return. I'm being a little bit liberal with the way that I'm giving Florida State extra yardage there, but those were yards you got. Your offense didn't have to go do it. And number 3, the time of possession was virtually a split. It's not like they held the ball like Georgia Tech for 40 minutes.
Like 29.
You did all 3. You did all 3, and you still didn't even really have a chance. Let's be honest. If Cam doesn't fumble, if you kick a field goal, you had a chance. But you just weren't even competitive. Richie, 0 offensive points. The offense does get some credit for the field goals. I get that. You had to drive down to get
0 offensive touchdowns against Duke.
No points outside of Fitzgerald in a kick return. How do you score 0 points against Duke? That's insane to me. I don't know. Somebody asked, how could they look so good against Clemson? Good relative. And again, maybe this is the best way to end this segment because I don't have any nice things to say about this game. Well, I guess we did say them at the beginning. Somebody asked me how you could look so good against Clemson. Again, relative good. And then come out and look like this against Duke. And I said, well, we had a bye week, so the team spent more time around our staff. And so that's probably the answer. They probably were around a bad staff too much. And that's what the reason for the regression was. I know that's not a nice thing to say, but I mean, how else do you explain that, man? How do you come out of a bye week looking this bad? We'll talk.